instead a restoration of the 19th century, the classic style. Basilica Pontificia means that instead of being as usual property of the municipality, it's property of Sorrento. As you can see, it looks like one big town, but there are three, sorry, 4 towns and 3 canyons. Sorrento corresponds only on the last harbour that is visible here. That's the fishing village of Sorrento. As you can notice, the color of the mountains is white limestone, and the colors of the cliffs, it's dark grey, it's tufa stone. So the plateau of Sorrento is a deposit of ashes from the eruption of the northern side of the Bay of Naples. Naples, that is there in the white, there is land there, even if you can't see it. There are also other 2 lines under that describe the eruption. Corresponds to the first description of an eruption ever written by a witness. And on the left, now you can see the ancient seafront of Pompeii. If that was the seafront, it means that the plateau where we are, that arrives to the mountain there, the Sorrento coast, this plateau was all water before the eruption 79. So this street is on the ash that was deposited by that eruption in 79 AD. Precisely 24th October 79 AD. This is our parking, and then we will walk in 2 minutes to the meeting point, that is the cameo factory.
Cửa hàng ở Pompeii cho xe. Trên cái Pompeii là nhập khẩu rồi.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you look here, you can notice that there are the same cliffs that we have seen in Sorrento, because we are walking on the ancient beach of Pompeii, but the beach is 10 meters lower. So there are 10 meters of invisible cliffs lower, and Pompeii was built on the top of the cliffs. We can continue so you can see better. So imagine coming from the sea. This plateau was all sea, was the delta of the river that was controlled by Pompeii. Pompeii was a double port, seaport, this side, river port, the other side. So there was a huge lagoon with the delta of the local river that, because of the explosion of Vesuvius, was transformed into a new land. So here you can see the cliffs. Imagine that the view of Sorrento was similar to the current view of Sorrento, with cliffs and Pompeii built on the top of them. Little bit smaller, no? Because in Sorrento we have 60 meters of cliffs. In Pompeii there was something like 20 meters of cliff, but the material is the same. It's all the volcanic material from prior eruptions that created this surface. If you think that Pompeii was a Roman town, it's only partly true, because Pompeii in the 79 AD, the year of the eruption, was officially a Roman city, but officially Pompeii was a Roman colony only in the last 90 years. And the foundation of a town here, a village, was since the 9th century BC probably. So for 8 centuries Pompeii was not Roman. So we can say, to be precise, that Pompeii is the right place to study what the Romans inherited from the population living here before them, because 4 different populations lived in Pompeii before that the Romans arrived here, and then they transformed in the last 90 years the site into a Roman colony. I want to give you an example. On the left here you can see a beautiful balcony of the domus. Domus, the word for a rich house. And between the 2 higher arches of this house you can notice a big wall that is built with giant blocks of tufa stone. That is the ancient city wall of Pompeii. So you can notice how the Romans built on the top and out of the city wall. Why we have this? We have this because in the Roman time, the Bay of Naples was strategically maintained by the Romans with the largest Mediterranean fleet. So imagine that this was the safest place of Mediterranean, and all the Roman aristocrats, they had some property in the Bay of Naples, including Capri. Capri became the unofficial summer capital, we can say, because this was the safest place of the Mediterranean. So in the Roman time, no enemy could reach the towns in the Bay of Naples, and the city wall that was built before the Roman time became unuseful to defend the city, and so the Roman smart people started to use the wall as a foundation to build panoramic houses, to see the view of the Sorrento coast and Capri, the imperial island. But that way of building with giant blocks and without using any concrete, it's a late way of building. Greeks and Etruscans, they built with giant blocks. The Romans, inventing the concrete, they started to build with small blocks. So they changed completely the way of building walls, and that was only the first sign of a big change that became civil engineering, with the creation of bridges, pillars, aqueducts, and a lot of addition to the city of Pompeii, a lot of new services made by the Romans. Let's try to be together so we can allow other groups to participate. The Etruscans were already here. The Greeks arrived and they found on the northern side 3 towns. The first one was on the island of Ischia, the largest of the 3 islands we have in the Bay of Naples, then on the mainland Cuma, and finally the first Naples in the 7th century BC, called Pompeii. So, Etruscans, Greek, not Finnish. Meanwhile, you can notice the volcano Vesuvius in the background, and then the large theater of Pompeii. Let's leave little space for that to make a. We have 2 theaters in Pompeii. That one is the large one, and this is the small one. On the time when Pompeii was not Roman yet, you can say it was controlled by Romans, but it was at some night.
Allora, Anfassa era creatore di Vesuvio e il Gran Fassa
The Greek used the local population living in the eastern side of the region.
gli altri ti piace l'Odiona,
Thì phải quan điểm trái
Because in this area, the archaeologists found a lot of, the largest collection of the the largest collection of which was found in this was the largest in all the world. We continue with the let me tell you that wherever you see food, the pillars holding a line, the portion is always a reconstruction, a perfect reconstruction based on the plaster cast. They could reconstruct the organic material in the first time using liquid plaster to reconstruct, and the use of liquid plaster for archaeology was invented in Pompeii. Pompeii was the second most ancient archaeological site in the world. The first one was in Galenium. So Galenium and Pompeii. 1748. So 3 centuries that Pompeii has been excavated. And the excavation is ongoing. 30% of Pompeii is on. So Pompeii is important for the Roman civilization. It's important for knowing about the population living here before the Roman time. It's important for the history of volcanology. It's important for the history of archaeology, but it's also important for the art history because all the first visitors, rich aristocrats coming here, intellectuals, artists visiting Pompeii and Herculaneum, they take inspiration from Pompeii and Herculaneum to start a new international style.
She's in the corner. She's here.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So everywhere you can see them. Every day we lose a little bit. It was the original color of Pompeii. All the streets and the square, they were all red until a certain height, and then white. You can see white. Each street of Pompeii was painted these colors, red and white. And on the white part of the walls they wrote, because the only way for communicating was writing on walls. So if you go to Naples, Naples is full of graffiti everywhere, because we never lost the use of the communication writing on walls. It's something that is in our blood, it's part of our culture. So this is the Pompeian red. It's a dark red, it's iron oxide. You can't see, but the Vesuvius is not red, it's not black, it's red, full of iron, so it's rust basically. It's the cheapest color that they could find in Pompeii. So imagine this color everywhere in each street of Pompeii, but now Pompeii is the color of stones and bricks. And that light pink is just a far memory, no? It's changed because of the sun and the rain, from a dark red into a light pink, just a far memory of the original color. We continue. The graphical property of the war, the 60s.
It was too high.
So we have a lot of graffiti made by tourists since the 18th century. Please watch your steps everywhere, because it's a city more than 2,000 years ago, and more. It's not irregular, as you can imagine. This is the best thing through the windows on the left, and you can always go to the center. There's another area. And 1,200 people. It's the larger theater was used
Yeah. Did anyone else hear that? That crackling?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so it's not just. Oh.
Yeah, baby, both of us.
Okay. Let me think of it before you shoot.
Please.
No.
But to amplify the voice of the singer, was in the center of the theater, using a radio possible could run down, following diagonal, avoiding horizontal and vertical cracks that were dangerous for the collapse of the theater. So we can consider these, with this diagonal grid and the grids in the corners, the first anti-earthquake system invented by the Romans to protect the city from new possible eruptions. They didn't expect new possible earthquakes. They couldn't stop an eruption, but they couldn't stop an earthquake from taking place.
Do you guys want a photo for the room? I think over that corner would be nice.
Yeah, and then pointing this way.
Yeah, I reckon once these three people move.
So,
I'll just
gate
give them
one
back
of
to
the
them with
seven.
us.
Yeah.
Let's wait for these two to move.
You can notice here, and we are still in the lower part of the dune of Pompeii. There is a big difference in the height of the tree and the difference by the fact that when we look around the first time in the 10th century in Pompeii, it was difficult and was arranged with look in Pompeii because today they are visible only in Pompeii. But we know that the Romans everywhere in Europe I don't see now. So the 80 BC, so when Pompeii was already Roman colony.
Ý được rồi con. Ý được.
But they had an alliance with Rome until in 91 when they declared war against Rome. That war was the social war. They participated in the League of Cities that wanted to free from the Roman control, so Rome sent here the army in the social war, and Pompeii was reconquered in the 89 BC and transformed into a Roman colony. That means a place where the major properties were given to the veterans of the war. Soldiers were repaid with properties in places called Pompeii. This is a typical shop of Pompeii. When the archaeologists found the first one of this one, they call it thermopolium. Thermopolium shop, the shop of the hot things. Basically, it's a street food shop. You can imagine a fireplace here to keep the heat of the food, and this line, it's the line of the shutters. We have vertical shutters, women at the folding doors, that open at the sunrise and close at the sunset. But this is the most typical shop of Pompeii. Imagine that in the 70% of Pompeii is already excavated, we found more than 160 shops. The real name is Falcone. And you have pieces of marble because they need to replace just continuously because of the heat. Imagine one block of marble.
The quality of the material will be known. The volcanic rocks.
Know that this is a shop because we have this line, okay? Es una tienda con esta es la línea de la puerta, sí. And so imagine this sliding door. So 2 rooms used for the shop, and behind the shop 2 rooms used as a house. This is a typical space of the middle class. Usually the middle class sitting in the middle parterre of the theater on cushions. The rich class was sitting on chairs in the theater, where they had an apartment like this one. In Italian we say casa and bottega, so house and shop. The majority of the casa e bottega, they had the house upstairs.
Okay.
Sorry, shops underground and the house upstairs. So this was the organization.
In Mexico,
This is for the majority of the population. As you can see, there are no services there, no water, no toilets, no kitchens. That's why all these services were fundamental for life in Pompeii. But let's compare a middle class house to a domus, a rich house.
Yeah, when we walked up there.
Temple of Athletics, god of medicine. It's a simple temple. It's very cool. It was probably built in the Etruscan time. In fact, the statue that they have found here that are now natural of the Mayans, they are in terracotta, not marble statue. So very terracotta was great god. But look at this great cross. Stepping stones everywhere, except for the drainage and this that it's new, no? It's small. All the rest is original. It's like a modern museum. And here, this wall. This wall here is set in cloud. Making town slow. That is instead the first Roman way of building. So the Romans, when they arrived, inventing concrete, they could build 10 meters of wall Not in 6 months, but in 2 weeks, maybe less. And they also restore all the system with opera certa, irregular grid. Their way of building within the regular grid became more and more regular, arriving to be diagonal. Everywhere there was a plaster that was painted, so all the streets of Pompeii were painted. And look at this. If we see this shop here, you can notice that the back door of the shop goes into a giant space. This giant space here is a dome. It's a house that occupies an entire block, controlling also all the shops that are in the front of the block. This is a dome. Okay, you can understand. In the domes like this one.
なんかオーブン。
いい感じのですね。あんだけ大きい川を。
ね、ご覧くださいね。こちらからも分かりやすいんですけど、お店があったでしょ。あのね、ドアの後も。
Because people used to put their hands here in order to drink directly at the source, because the basin was used by the animals. So it was protected with a water-resistant surface called coccio pesto, recycled pottery and volcanic ash. So the water was continuous to avoid bacterial mold from the still water. The basin was always full, so the horses, the donkeys, the bulls, they could drink in the basin. So if the water was continuous there, it was also continued to go out through that groove. So probably the most important reason for the presence of fountain at each street cross is to clean out the sewage. So if you want to have it...
Weißt du nicht das kleine Honey oder lecker mal?
Was closed with a roof having only one window in the center, corresponding to the dimension of this basin here. The window was called the basin was called in Latin. The Romans invented the aqueduct only since the 35th BC. Before the 35th BC, the only water of Pompeii was collected in the water system in the center. Under our figure, the water system was the center of the house. So this basin was connected to the water system. You can see the well. We had water before the introduction of the aqueduct. So originally the house was with a bleeding instead of the entrance. It was a living room, cubicula. There are bedrooms. And in the corners, triclinia, that are the dining room with the 3 beds on each wall where they lie down. The Romans used to lie down to have dinner. They didn't have dinner. They didn't have dinner sitting at chairs at the table. They lie down, because it was a cultural thing to lie down on beautiful triclinia. That's the name of the sofa where they lie down. But with the introduction of the water, the aqueduct, they didn't need to consider that the atrium originally was a very dark place, because the only window was in the center, so the sun, light, only descends on the new.
Đây là 有錢人啲屋，因為屋後邊，即係有廁所啊，有睡房喺後邊。飯 飯堂啊，全部喺後邊。噴泉。呢證明有錢人咧有啲瓷磚。唔係瓷磚，係有顏色嗰啲雲石。家下都係咁噶啦，唔係以前。相差得咁犀利，啊窮都冇窮得咁犀利嘅，廁所都冇咩。香港都有啊。係咯，香港有。有廁所嚇。啊，公用咯，你租嗰啲床位唔公用。
There were two changing rooms between the feet and then shower before entering. They were very cool people. And when they were here, they were together. The way that the volcano Vesuvio exploded, or the way that Pompeii was covered by the ash, they could reconstruct the organic material using liquid plastic. And among the organic material that they could reconstruct, we have windows, bins, we have doors, we have furniture, we have roots of trees, and we have bodies of people and animals. Let me explain. The first moment of the eruption created the umbrella pipe. You know, this is shape on the top. But this shape was on the top for many hours, almost one day long time. The population escaping the erection of the boats to pay for a lift because they escaped from with the ships that were in the port of Pompeii. You see also vectors of the Vesuvio. If you look at that wall, you can notice text was written on the walls and a very deep surface. Every time they needed to write again, they painted on white again. So they created relatively deep surface of paint. So political propaganda, description of things sold in the shops, public advices, sometimes poems that were found written on the walls of Pompeii, because that was the only way for communication. It is called in the Roman time triangular form, as the shape of and again, we have consumption on two sides because they drank this way. Also, the lower part is consumed by the waters. The roof, you know, to clean the streets everywhere. So we have all the same signs. When you see the blue view, you can be sure that that is a domus, a rich house. With we will see more. We will see others. Behind us, the road is on the left side. We can see the original surface. And that's cultural base. The typical water resistant surface, and it's the cheapest way to protect the floor. So it's recycled pottery and volcanic ash. But we can recognize also an upper surface that is newer. It is made with volcanic ash and piece of marbles, colorful marbles. So we can understand that there is one property, so holding the 5 shops and 2 domuses, because there is a change in the decoration at the change of the property of the sidewalks and walls. And we can also understand that the first original owners of this block, they were less rich than the new owners, because that surface is cheaper than the new one that is more expensive. And here we can notice the most famous street sign of So men riding horses or walking on the sidewalk, look at this image, they knew that in the next street on the left there was a lupanare. Lupanare is the word for brothel. The prostitutes were called lupe, because they used to hold the oldest profession in the world to encourage men to enter narrow streets, no? It's red lights don't oldest profession in the world.
Somebody pretty water on
Not a local marble. It's important from Rome because all the fountains in the public building of Rome, they were in travertine. So it's a way to say we are now an imperial city, an imperial town. The signs are always the same. Even this one, the consumption of the face, she is the goddess of fertility. Sorry, the goddess of plenty, abundance. And the symbol of fertility is the cornucopia. In the past, the symbol of fertility was the man phallus, like that one. In Roman time, the symbol of fertility is this one, containing outside, that is the masculine side, and the whole inside is the feminine side. Together, feminine and masculine, they give fertility, flowers and food. The main production of the area of Pompeii is the export of wine, so you can see grape here. The Greeks were the first to import grape here. And the most famous wine of the Roman time was cultivated in the Palermo. It was cultivated and produced in the northern side of the bay. But that Palermo wine made all the bay famous for the wine. The richest people of Pompeii, they export the wine. At the base of the volcano, the Jewish giant vine extended all the way to the sea. Here we can notice another tomb. This is the entrance. We can enter the first mosaic on the floor, is still original. Two dogs attacking the wild boar. So the house of the wild boar. And you can see again, like in the Cornelius house, the atrium and the peristyle. So the shape of a Roman domus, it's always the same. Representative part for business and private part, the courtyard in the back. If you look carefully on the floor here, you can notice a mosaic decoration that includes two shops and a house, meaning that the two shops are the same owner of the house, no? Because it's all controlled, let's say.
呢度係屬於有錢人嘅個區啊！你見到地底有唔知喎，冇聽，有冇咩點講？佢就係話嗰度有個圖形咧，翻去睇下。就係個 square 啦，就係 public square 去到。前邊呢就係個火山，火箭。
Can be notes, just continue two sides until one peak, because there was one peak. So basically the base of the volcano was down, and half of the mountain exploded, like the whole was visible before it was covered. It was all buried under the ashes. This is the Marina. The street going to the marina, to the port of Pompeii, was at the end of the street, more or less where are now the trees in front of us. And if you see carefully, you can notice it's all white. The horizon is in front of us, but the sea is now far, 2 kilometers from Pompeii. So it's all a plateau of ash, not changing completely, because the water was just out of the gates of the castle, you would see. So Porta Marina was, in the Roman time, the only gate, Porta Marina, the gate on the port, the only one that was open in the night, to allow the transporters to transport food from the ship to the food market, to be prepared in the night for the early morning. So only in Via Marina, Marina Street, we have white little rocks among the plants. Only here. Because the white little rocks were reflected. They reflected the moonlight, they reflected the night of the because there were people who got focused on transporting their nightlife. The Roman invasion. And here we have the oldest temple of Pompeii. According to the ex-director of Pompeii, this temple was originally built by the Christians. It is the temple of Apollo, the sanctuary of Apollo. Imagine 6th century BC, 3 centuries before the Roman arrival. Very old. And it's the most important temple of Pompeii because it's the only place of Pompeii where people could know the time. They came here in the Temple of the Sun, looking at the white line, on the top of which there is a sundial. So it's the beginning of the connection between the business, the main square, and the calculation of time. So the first connection that in the Middle Ages, the sundial was on the top of the tower of the municipal building or the belfry of the cathedral, like in Capri. There is the clock on the belfry, but before there was a sundial. And this connection between sundial, so time, and main square, the business, is visible in Pompeii. We can notice a statue of Apollo on the right. That's a copy of the 18th century of the original is in Naples. And Diana, god of the sun, goddess of the moon. They were twins, but here they are represented one against the other in the national arrow as enemy. In opposition, they represent the circle of time, going through day, Apollo, god of the sun, and night, the goddess of the moon. In Latin and in all the Neo-Latin languages like Italian, French, Spanish, we have only one word for two concepts. So tiempo in Spanish, tempo in Italian, tempus in Latin means time and weather. Okay, because to know the time, they needed to ask the weather. That's why in the German languages like English, there is a division of the two concepts and the two words completely different. But in the Roman word, this is the same concept, time and weather. We can go.
아저씨 도서 숨긴 내 타임머신인가? 숨긴 타임머신 그때 소개를 시험인가 몰라. Chevron to the center. South Scott or South Sud. Kan praten om lives. Kan bara lives för försöka ge mig whisper.
Bon, moi, il y a un petit souvenir de...
It's the development of the village of workers that came here to excavate Pompeii. But before, it was only countryside, so there was a lot of space to have the largest archaeological site of the world. As usual in the Roman time, on the top of the seafront, especially a corner, a promontory overlooking the sea, there is always the temple of Venus. Venus was born in the ocean, coming out from a shell. So traditionally a temple is always near the sea. And here we can see the sanctuary of Venus, but we can see only the foundation of the temple because it collapsed in the earthquake, the 62. And the Pompeians started to collect the material to reconstruct the temple in the 17 years between the earthquake and the eruption, but they couldn't because the volcano Vesuvius erupted before. And we can see unfolding only the foundation of the temple. You can see Porta Marina, the gate on the port. So the Porta Marina here. This is the line of the city wall going above the gates. And we can notice all this construction, a lot of investors, they got ruins destroyed by the earthquake in 62. They restored them, sell them as
Palm in Nepal.
Aerial island. These are the most expensive domuses of Pompeii. Knowing that the original surface of the plateau was 10 meters lower, you can imagine quantity of ash besides 2 feet. With the ash removed, we have built the city, because in the past we used the ash. The Romans used the volcanic ash as concrete. The first concrete of history invented by the Romans. There are 2 blocks of buildings built after the earthquake. So you can see the diagonal system, the anti-earthquake system. These are all the shops and the warehouses serving the activity of the port. It was there.
Pero bueno, ir aquí arreglamos bien para bajar la gente. That's good.
We are.
I didn't tell you, but this tourist told us full of that. Because
You killed us in one day.
very nice. We reached the